24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. Last month, DeWitt County provided notices to Clinton, Farmer City, and Wapella that the current intergovernmental agreements regarding animal control will be coming to an end. The county has reiterated its willingness to renegotiate the IGAs, and at Thursday night's DeWitt County Public Safety Committee meeting, County Clerk Dee Dee Rentmeister provided the committee with the full documentation of the current IGAs so that they can be reviewed.
While Grace is up here, so I asked Dee to provide full copies of the 3 intergovernmental agreements we have, the Clinton, Farmer City, and Wapella. One of the documents I had was dated in December of 2016, which led me to believe that we could re-up these coming forward. That document was not a correct one. Actually, the village of Wapella renewed in July for another 3 years, and Clinton just renewed for another 3 in August. And so there's nothing we can do with those 2 at this point in time.
Clinton and Wapella have renewed their IGAs with the county in recent months, which means the county will have to wait to renegotiate those. Myers indicates that Farmer City's IGA is still on the table. Animal Control Administrator Grace Moore also reached out to McLean and Macon counties to gauge their interest.
Farmer City is available to take a look at, and along with that, I wanted to ask Grace, you've also heard from any additional municipalities that had an interest?
I reached out to McLean County because they are or have been in the middle of moving to a new facility. They have not gotten back to me, which is understandable, super busy. And I think I tried reaching out to Macon County as well, but they also have not gotten back to me. So that's.
Yeah. And I think, like for the United County Councils, can we reach out to them and find out if other counties have IGAs in place, what their fee structure is? I think Weldon and Kenny have both expressed an interest. And so what I'd like to propose, so we know there's 2 that we can't effect at this time, but I think we'll reach out to Farmer City and possibly with Weldon and whoever else you're having to do calls for. You've been out to Kenny, you've been out to Weldon, you've been out to Weldon, and see if we can work with those guys that are interested to get something in place that is, I think, more equitable across the board.
Myers also asked Moore for her input on her responsibilities when it comes to the IGAs. She says that those are also up for discussion as the agreements are renegotiated.
Also need some input from Grace in regards to things that duties you're performing, for these IGAs that we can maybe adjust what's creating the most amount of burden for the staff. And so I'd like to propose that if you guys can take a look and read through these, they're fairly identical, I believe, aren't they, Dee? Pretty close in verbiage. Yeah. And then I'll reach out to the contact at Farmer City that you work with and have them come to the table and start some conversations about what we should get in place in the meantime. If you can see if any other counties have that available. That's, along with Grace, I've had some hard times finding people that have these in place that really seem like they've been well thought through and the fee structure is manageable. A couple of counties I talked to charge per incident, which to me becomes very difficult. I think for each time you go out and do something, you have to assess hourly. It was pretty cumbersome. So I wanted for each of you all to have a chance to take a look at these in their entirety. Dee, if you can check and see, and Grace and I will continue to work to find other counties that may have these in place. And then I'll reach out to Scott and Farmer City, and I guess we'll need to find it Weldon or Waynesville, Kenny, anybody else. And if you guys could come to the next public safety with some thoughts in regards to what we should be getting in place.
Myers recognizes that municipalities do pay some county taxes. However, she says that animal control services are not figured into those dollars. She also cites stray animals as a big cost for the county, which does not recoup money because there was no one to receive a citation.
I know we've had some comments about the municipalities do pay some county taxes, but animal control is not figured into that. And so all these additional fees that we're incurring are ending up with some serious overages. And also they do have the fee structure where if Grace is able to write a citation for $100, but there's a lot of instances where there's no citation to be written. If they go out on call, especially with strays, you can't write a citation to someone for strays. And that's kind of incurs a lot of costs for those. So we need to figure out something that is going to work better, take some of the burden off animal control and alleviate some of the costs for the county. So if you guys can put your thinking hats on, anything that we come across, I'll have Dee share with the committee. And then we'll try and get that done. So next month we can sit down with the municipalities and say, help us start brainstorming through this.
Moore suggested an idea she received from the Peoria County Animal Control, and that is multi-pet licensing. This would put a limit on the number of pets a resident could have unless they renew a yearly license to allow them more.
Grace has come across, we're trying to go through and look at our animal ordinances and see where we can clean those up. I think another part of the IGAs is that we need to make sure that these, like the requests going forward, that their ordinances align with the county ordinances for animal control, which will make things easier for animal control. She's got one set of ordinances to enforce. I know Clinton has some unusual ones, like what's the one they have in their D if somebody's being inconvenienced, and so they
can just bring it to the.
Yeah. So I think to clean a few of those things up. But one of the things that she has provided to me from, I believe, Peoria County.
Yeah.
If you want to go ahead and explain.
So essentially Peoria County has it's called a multi-pet license. So if, say, the city of Peoria has a 4-pet limit, but you want to have more pets than that, they can apply through their animal control program to be able to have more animals. So they would pay a fee I think they would submit the application, pay the fee, and then it would go through a process. So as long as all your current animals are registered with the county and, current with vaccinations, they'll move on to like a home visit portion of that. And then if they pass all of that, then they are able to have all those animals. And then they would then reapply the following year for, I'm going to say the first year is 25 and then the next year is like 10 or something like that they pay. So they would just reapply every year to be able to have those animals without having any issues with the county as far as number of pets or like the city or something. So I thought that was something that I know a lot of people in the area do have more than the 4 allotted pets, at least within the city limits. So it'd be something that would also bring in additional revenue.
Committee member John Wirtz inquired if the multi-pet licensing would apply to the entire county or just the incorporated areas, but Moore indicated she was unsure and would have to do more research. The committee will take the IGAs back up at next month's public safety meeting once they have had more time to review. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, September projected to finish with mild weather. Small schools in rural Illinois can sometimes struggle to maintain a varsity 11-on-11 football program. For Cerro Gordo's program, they were in danger of not having a varsity season this year because of a lack of numbers. On the WHOW Morning Show Thursday, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, Dr. Emily Widener, told Regional Radio they searched for a co-op partner for most of the summer.
We started in June, kind of looking at our football numbers and realizing that we were pretty low. We graduated a lot of seniors off the football team last year, so we started to become concerned about fielding a varsity team. We ended up sending an email to our high school students in June saying we need some more players or we may not be able to have a varsity season and we might have to look at having a JV season, which several area schools have had to do and been able to bounce back. So as of July, we knew we didn't have enough players for a varsity season, and we had reached out to area schools about the possibility of co-ops and couldn't find anybody who was kind of in the same boat as us and really needed to do that. And generally, schools don't want to co-op for sports unless they have to, because taking on additional schools means taking on the enrollment and often moving up a class. So as of our July board meeting in mid-July, we were going forward with the plan to have a JV only season, but also knowing that even a JV season was at risk if we had some injuries and things like that, it could still be difficult to field a JV team.
According to Dr. Widener, just before Cerro Gordo was ready to commit to a JV-only schedule, Arcola reached out to Co-op, and so the district has been in a football co-op with them for the first third of the football season.
So at the end of July, Arcola reached out to us, and they had kind of realized that they were in a similar situation. We had contacted them earlier in the summer, and they, weren't interested in a co-op at that time. But the last week of July, they kind of counted their numbers and realized they needed some additional players as well. So within a week, we had an agreement, and we had 3 special board meetings at Cerro Gordo, BMET, and Arcola to get this approved. We had approval from the conference and got the paperwork in for the co-op really at the last minute. So I was really impressed with the administration and school boards in each of those districts to get this done so that the players at each of those schools could have a varsity season.
Yeah.
And so that was something that came together quickly that I think has been beneficial for the boys.
Dr. Widener credits the Cerro Gordo BMET coaches for helping facilitate daily transportation for students to Arcola for practices. The community is stepping up in a big way to try and build back football in Cerro Gordo.
So the big part was transportation. So our players and the BMET players are going down to Arcola for practice and games. Our home games are at Arcola. And then, obviously we travel for the away games. But our football coach, Chris Ridgway, has been our head coach, and then Doug Henderson is one of our assistants. They've both gone down to Arcola. They've really been instrumental in making this work for us. So I really have to give them a lot of praise for their role in it. The head coach is from Arcola, so our coaches took on the assistant role, also have helped with transportation. And the really cool thing, I think, is that our community has really gotten behind pushing football and trying to get us back to 11-man. So there have been a lot of community members in the youth league who have stepped up to promote JFL. We've had volunteer coaches in that program who don't even have kids on the team. They're just community members who love football and want to see it come back. So that has been a really kind of unifying thing in the community to see everybody get behind bringing this program back whenever we have the numbers.
Homecoming is a big part of the high school football season, and while Cerro Gordo will not get to host a football game for its homecoming week, they are still planning for a normal week of activities otherwise.
So we've been able to keep our homecoming traditions pretty much intact, which was, of course, something that was important to us and also to be met. So we'll have our homecoming is in 2 weeks. We'll have our Spirit Week like we usually do. Our parade will be Friday afternoon. We've got a big bonfire on Thursday night, kind of a pep rally that we have invited both BMET and Arcola to attend. And then we will have an away game, unfortunately, instead of a home game. So that's the big difference. Our boys will travel down to Cumberland that night. And then Saturday night will be our dance as usual. So we've tried to really maintain as much as we can in terms of homecoming.
Yeah.
But we do have to have an away game, unfortunately. We hope to have a JV game on the 22nd. So with a small varsity, even with a 3-school co-op, we still have a small roster. So we're hoping to have that game on the 22nd if we have enough healthy players available to play it. So that would be our home game this season.
Arcola's co-op with Cerro Gordo and BMET allows them to remain in the Lincoln Prairie Conference. It remains the district's goal to have 11-on-11 football in Cerro Gordo in the future. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Selection for a new Chevrolet is here at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. Yes, from the Corvettes to the Suburbans and everything to help your family or business, Chevrolet has value options for your needs. This month, see our Silverado trucks in 1500, 2500, and 3500s in gas or diesel. Our Silverados have big savings with more discounts if you trade yours in. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
News time is 24 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. The weather over the next week is expected to be warmer relative to how the month started. However, it could be a pleasant finish to the month. Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service indicates a signal for moderate temperatures and below normal precipitation dominates the last half of September.
Right, yeah. We start the month of September, average high about 83 degrees, and we finish the month average high around 74. So we lose, about 9 degrees there. And then the low temperatures, we normally are around 59 for lows at the beginning of the month, and then 48. That's kind of chilly, 48 for the lows at the end of the month. It definitely, below normal this month. We've been, 10 degrees below normal on several different days so far this month.
Yeah.
It's not looking like there's any significant systems even through the end of the month. Right now, the monthly outlook averages out to equal chances of above or below normal, which, if we trend down to about normal, we'll probably see consistent temperatures in the upper 70s to right around 80, even towards the end of the month there, and dry. We're not seeing any, big rain systems even in the far extended model. So hopefully, knock on wood, that apple and pork has some solid weather and can really garner a lot of people and have a good time.
September is trending to be one of the driest on record, with little rain in the forecast for the next few weeks. Shimon indicates it could end up very dry.
September normally is 3.3 inches, so roughly around a tenth of an inch or so a day, just 10th or 11th. But you'd be surprised. There have been some Septembers with just a couple of hundredths of an inch of precipitation. I can look it up real quick and get that number for you. But the records are pretty low in terms of how much precipitation. Driest September is 0.17 is the driest. So we're at 0.10. That would be number one. Yeah. Oh man. If we get it at our 10th, that'd put us in third place with 0.2, 0.17, 0.18, and then 0.47. So we are pushing towards being in the top 5. Right now we're number 1, but we're only a week in, so we'll see how it goes. But the next 2 weeks don't look like we're going to get a whole lot out of it at all.
Shimon reminds we are in the thick of the hurricane season, and any tropical storm could make its way to central Illinois. He notes, though, that there are not any imminent tropical storms developing.
Yeah, we are still solidly in the hurricane season. Right now, the next week or 2 weeks are not seeing any, significant waves coming off of Africa. But towards the end of September, that could change. And if we get any landfall hurricanes into the Gulf, we have seen significant rains out of those in the past. So that might be our respite if we need some rain coming up here. If a tropical system is able to take advantage of those really warm Gulf waters, start to bring in some moisture into the Midwest. But obviously, we don't want a landfalling hurricane anywhere just so we can get rain. That's not really helpful to anybody that way. But it could occur, and we'll be watching it. But right now, the whole Atlantic Ocean is really quiet. There's nothing going on.
This weekend is expected to be very warm, with temperatures in the 80s and 90s over the next few days. It's back to the highways and interstates across Illinois for the Illinois Manufacturers Association as part of their Makers on the Move statewide bus tour. The goal, bringing the top talent to manufacturers across the state, all while highlighting the diverse portfolio of Illinois manufacturing. Sarah Hartwick is the IMA Senior Vice President and Corporate Board Secretary.
This is, to your point, just an incredible opportunity to highlight all of those amazing products that are made in Illinois, many of which Illinois citizens know and a lot of which they don't. So this is our 4th annual bus tour, traveling over 2,000 miles across the state to bring awareness to those manufacturers and celebrate the employees and the career opportunities. We have a number of tours at the stops. This year we will have over 30 stops, and we kick off on Friday, October 3rd. We stop at manufacturing facilities and celebrate the employees, thank the employees and the manufacturers, which are often the backbones of the economy in those communities. And we also get the opportunity to tour a lot of the facilities and see how a lot of the really cool things in Illinois are made.
To celebrate the 7 days, key elected officials ride aboard the Makers on the Move bus, wrapped and designed around Illinois manufacturing. In 2024, the statewide bus tour visited 45 different stops to learn more about the state's manufacturing. To learn more about the tour, visit makersonthemove.org. Now for your local obituaries. Wanda S. Lowry, 73, of Waynesville, passed away at her home on September 2nd, 2025. Cremation rights have been accorded. Private family services will be held at Evergreen Cemetery in Waynesville. Memorials may be made to the Waynesville Fire Department. Final arrangements are entrusted with Queer and Peasley Funeral Home in Atlanta. Get news anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is an SRN News special report, a possible breakthrough in the Charlie Kirk assassination investigation. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump says with a high degree of certainty the suspect being sought in the murder has been captured. Mr. Trump on the Fox News channel a short time ago. Federal and state investigators in Utah have been appealing for the public's help in finding the person who fired the fatal shot at a public event at Utah Valley University on Wednesday. Henry Dells, who asked Charlie Kirk a question shortly before he was shot, says a lack of visible security left him feeling uneasy right from the start.
I thought it was very, very weird when I showed up to the campus. There was no security at all. I have a weird feeling that if something did happen, he would be in a very vulnerable position.
Again, President now suggesting that a suspect is in custody. I'm Rich Thomason.
With SRN Sports, I'm Jason Walker. We will start with the National Hockey League. An official says 5 players who were acquitted of sexual assault charges stemming from an incident in 2018 will be eligible to sign a contract as of the 15th of October and then play by December 1st. Those 5 were members of Canada's 2018 World Junior team at the time and not yet in the NHL. The NHL Players Association says it was pleased the 5 are getting a chance to resuming their careers. In women's NBA play, Minnesota 72, Golden State 53, New York over Chicago 91-86. Dallas defeated Phoenix. Final was 97-76. Las Vegas 103, LA 75. SRN Sports. In Thursday night football action, Green Bay Packers over Washington. Final in that game was 27-18. Jordan Love threw for 292 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Major League Baseball action Thursday night. Interleague play. Baltimore beat Pittsburgh 3-2. In the American League, White Sox beat Tampa Bay 5-1. Toronto shut out Houston by a score of 6-0. Yankees beat Detroit 9-3. The president was there at Yankee Stadium for that game. Cleveland 3, Kansas City 2. Seattle knocked off the Los Angeles Angels by a score of 7-6. 3 games were on tap last night in the National League. 2 of them were shutouts. Miami 5, Washington 0, San Diego 2, Colorado 0, and Philadelphia beat the Mets 6-4. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Ben Hubbard with this report. The Clinton Maroons are back at home this week, preparing to take on the 2-0 Seneca Fighting Irish in non-conference high school football action. Clinton head coach Ron Bass explains that Seneca does a great job of hiding the football, which paired with their size means the Maroons will have to perform well on the defensive side of the ball.
Good luck finding the football. So, like when you watch them, you're going to be challenged, Ben. I think trying to follow the football. They do an outstanding offense, the way they hide the football, and the misdirections that they run, and they always have carried out just great space. And so, they're a great football team. They might be the best team that we see this year. That's a good possibility. They're big and strong. Their backs move well, so they're geared for a deep run in the playoffs, I think. Well, we're going to try to get to the perimeter a little bit more this week. That's kind of our goal offensively. Defensively, we're just going to continue to try to get better and make sure we're trying to improve our tackling. You have to be assignment sound against this offense, so make sure we're doing our job and tackling as best we can.
With 2 weeks of football under the team's belt, Coach Bass says they are focusing on getting better every day and setting attainable goals.
Yesterday was a little warm. Today's going to be a little warmer, but we're walk through today, so it won't be that bad. But tomorrow definitely be warm. We told the kids make sure to drink plenty of water, so because it'll be warmer than what we've had the last 10 days. So it definitely could affect some things. Something we do every year, but we're just working on getting better every play. Making our goals smaller and small and attainable. When we made our goals this year going in, we knew that we're inexperienced, and so we're not looking at we're going to win this number of games or we're going to win conference. It was more of, hey, we need to make sure we win the turnover battle. We need to make sure we're not being penalized pre-snap and post-whistle, and so there's a lot of different measurables that we're using this year to attain, hey, were we successful? If you would do those things, your chances of being on top of the score at the end of the game are significantly increased.
The Maroons are sitting at 0-2 after a 49-12 loss at Warrensburg-Latham last week. Coach Bass is focusing on the positives of that game, like the offensive performance in the first half and the turnovers that the Maroons took advantage of.
Well, I thought we competed really well in the first half. I think I might have mentioned this on Friday. You got to play 4 quarters, and we played 2. And I liked how our kids fought, but some bad things happened in the second half. We got to make sure we don't let one mistake turn into 2 or 3. And we're still kind of, when you have an inexperienced team, those are the things that happen. And we got to do better with those things if we're going to move forward. When you're handed a gift, you got to make sure you take advantage of it. And we didn't take advantage of all the gifts that they had given us, but there was a couple there that when another team makes a mistake, you got to capitalize on it. Of course, we didn't capitalize near enough to end up on top of the score. I think you're going to start seeing some newer personnel coming out as far as some of the younger kids that start proving them in JV. Over the next several weeks, you may start seeing some newer players out on the field. We had several players who started late. So those kids, when they become eligible to play, you'll start seeing a little bit more of some of our newer players that we had that joined us late. So some depth for us, which we desperately need. Some of our guys they're going, 2-3 ways, and so I'm getting some reinforcements and should help us.
The Maroons return to Sprague Field this week when they host Seneca, the Seneca Fighting Irish. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. And you can hear all the action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. Monticello will look to get back in the win column tonight when they visit Rantoul for Illini Prairie Conference High School football action. The Sages lost 34-7 last week to Tolono Unity. Coach Cully Welter says his team did a lot of things well, but the Rockets are a very talented bunch.
I think we were pretty, after the game, we were pretty spot on this time, believe it or not. I think we definitely showed improvement defensively as the game progressed.
This week, Coach Welter channeled his inner Kevin Roy. The Sages varsity basketball coach, who often says his team focus on them throughout the season. He indicates his team is going to have to be a gritty team if they're going to be successful this season. Despite a long string of losing seasons, Coach Welter says you can never take Rantoul lightly, and after perhaps looking past IVC a bit in the opener, he wants his team dialed in this week. Coach Welter is looking forward to getting tight end Jake Robinson back this week. He left the opener at IVC with a high ankle sprain. His absence has put a couple of kids in positions that they do not usually play. Game time tonight is 7 p.m. Hear the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist